What? Yes. The other individual is missing. The other individual is missing. Do you still want to announce? Hi.
Do you have like extra white sheets of paper?
I don't know. I have extra agendas. You want an extra agenda?
Sure.
Okay. They're in my bag.
Good afternoon, school board, district staff, and guests. The time is 5 p.m. on May 2nd, 2023, and I call the board meeting, workshop meeting of the Edgewood Independent School District. I will begin with roll call. Mr. James Hernandez will not be able to join us today. Joseph Guerra. Present. Frank Espinosa is on his way. Mr. Gomez Ruiz. Michael Valdez. Mr. Richard Santoyo. Here. And I, Martha Garcia, as president. Let the record show that the quorum of the Edgewood Independent School District School Board is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. If you will please join me for the pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence.
No, ma'am, we do not.
And Mr. Chavez, you're going to present the superintendent report, sir?
Yes, sir. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, unfortunately, Dr. Dennis is today to be back ill tonight. We'll keep him in our prayers. As we go forward, this is a wonderful picture of what transpired this past weekend. As you know, our board was selected. We recognize the board for HEB for the year. They were one of, I believe, 5 boards that were nominated. They attended a very nice function this past Sunday, and were recognized for their application and for the good work that they've done. There we can see 2 of our women, Madam President, along with Dr. Hernandez. I also like to recognize the fact that we now have a doctor among our ranks, the school board, Dr. James Hernandez. As always, he's not here. We would mention him in his presence, but as you know, we also celebrated the other doctor in the house, and that was Dr. Basuco, who recently paid his PhD. So we do have some refreshments that we'll have for birthdays, for new Dr. Hernandez, and also for Mother's Day.
And Gomez.
So we're going to have that in a little bit. We have a natural break in the agenda. I'd like to also remind everyone of our Vision 2028 for our mission, vision, outcome, and for our board superintendent priorities. Also, within those priorities, we've also developed the segregation of the budget for 22-23 of $96 million into the 5 priorities. Of course, the priority 1, focus on student success, taking the lion's share of that particular area for our budget. Also, I want to also remind our audience 22, we met with 4 campuses with Peter Better. This year, for 22-23, our goal is 6 campuses with B's or better. We are currently in the 3rd week of our assessment calendar, and we have another week to go. And we are right now having a very good administration for our STAR for all grade levels. Shout out to our technology department. As this is the first year the entire state goes online. We've had a very seamless administration. Again, it's a lot easier, especially with this online piece, a lot of preparation when you work. We're no longer having to manage thousands upon thousands of pieces of paper to gather, distribute, and send back to the state. So thank everyone for their efforts for the STAR administration. I'd also like to point out that our board superintendent strategic goals, of course, the first 3 address our Lone Star governance goals, 1, 2, and 3. And the other group, the locally developed goals, 1 and 2, are those developed by our board during our strategic planning process. So the school board workshop we're here gathered here for today, I want to go over the monthly cadence for our board. As you know, we have our board workshops today, May 2nd, and this is when our board learns about all the items in detail presented by the SLT group and other directors. We also have the board one-on-one meeting. However, this year, this month, we're going to have our board performance planning meeting, and that's slated for May 11th, 2023. And of course, we have our board meeting, which we'll have on the 16th of this month. I'd like to take this time to thank our board members for all the extra efforts that they put into this. As we all know, they are not paid for this. And this is giving of their own time. So thank you very much, board members. And of course, it is this type of work that had elevated them to become elected for a Board of Excellence by HCD. Also, just a quick reflection on our Board of Trustees operating norms. As you can see, we started off with our seek first to understand and goes all the way down to the 5th area for asking questions for clarification. Today is the day for that. During the board workshops, we'll have a cadence where we'll go over these pieces and give time for reflection. As you can see, the way we're scheduled today, or the way we're arranged today, we're arranged with groups of 2, so that way there can be easier ease of conversations both among board members and between our leaders. So this outlines our fine-tuning for meeting dynamics, and this allows the presenter to deliver all the information and to allow board members to consider the information and ask more probing questions relevant for them to make a decision. And of course, there will be an intercession to engage in reflection, along with some post-it notes. If you see some post-it, I said post-it notes. There's some cards here, green and yellow cards. The yellow cards will be for as the academic group makes their presentation, and the green cards are for business operations to ask any questions that you may have for those presentations. And again, of course, we'll have the question and answer at strategic times through the presentations. Okay, so this is an example of the slide that will come up. That'll say it's time for discussion and sharing, and also time for you to write down any questions provided. So, as you all know, the senior leadership team is composed of the district leaders in various departments. These are the individuals that put together and piece together the agendas for each board meeting and board workshop, and they're responsible for also vetting this out. We will first hear study session 4A with the deputy superintendent who made the board presentation. This is coming up. These students that are here are from Las Palmas School, Alicia School for Girls. Very beautiful outfits that they're wearing. This is recently from Fiesta. After the leadership component, go over the business operations for that side of the house. Included also in the work session will be regular board meeting minutes for March 28th, 2023, and regular board meeting April 20th, 2023. So what are steps moving forward? Be sure to write down your questions and send any additional questions you may have to the superintendent's office. Also, we encourage you to review the board workshop video from tonight and also review the board updates, which the team has been instructed to submit May 5th, 2023 and for May 12th, 2023, prior to the 16th board meeting. Okay. So what's in store for May 2023? We have our Lone Star Governance Monthly Report. I will say that there's going to be, we're going to have a conversation regarding that, regarding the report dates. We'll also talk about payments to the city of San Antonio for students enrolled in pre-K for SA. And of course, this is a recurring item that's been over the last several years for our agreement with the city municipality for pre-K for SA. And the other piece is the extension for this particular early childhood education component. On the right-hand side, we have the board meetings and workshop today, board meeting 16th, board performance planning on May 11th, June board meeting. We're going to have our workshop on May 30th. Just to be clear, May 30th is our June board workshop. And the reason for that is that we're prepping for the board meeting that will be held on June 6, 2023. As you know, a lot of these pieces that are coming forward are for budget planning, and the idea is to, the workshop on May 30th is to present the budget and other ancillary pieces so that we may come to the board meeting on June 6th to approve the 2023, 2024 budget. So, let's look at some upcoming events. And while people think that summer is the time that students are off, this is the time that we can work diligently to plan the subsequent year. So of course, I've mentioned those first two areas for the performance planning and the regular board meeting. I'd also like to inform you that on May 18th is our annual Scholars Banquet. That is a time to celebrate our top 10% from our high school. We also have our May 2022 and May 25, our high school block event. The high school block event from Memorial will be the 22nd. The John F. Kennedy block will transpire on the 25th. And of course, as we mentioned, we have the workshop on the 30th. On the 31st is our annual recognition of those individuals for the number of years that they've served, as well as for those who have retired. And that is going to be on May 31st. On June 5th, we have our graduation for Runners for Life, followed by, of course, our budget approval for the regular board meeting. On the 2nd, we have our Memorial High School graduation, followed by the JFK John F. Kennedy High School graduation on the 8th. And of course, our final one is going to be June 9th at the Fine Arts Academy graduation. Lastly, the last three areas we have on June 14th, Tassie SLI. On the 16th, here in San Antonio, is June 21st to the 23rd, the Tassie SLI in Fort Worth. And last but not least, June 28th to the 29th, our Systems of Grade School Summer Conference in Houston. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the superintendent's report. Again, another one picture of our board members for May 2nd, 2023. Any questions?
Then we can continue with the study session.
Thank you, Madam President. And we saw that picture previously at the superintendent's report. You know, hello.
Okay.
present the staff that is presenting tonight. We have our group here, Dr. Vassily, and Ms. Salinas. We are going to hear from Mr. McElvain, our chief of schools, on our church intruder alert. As you saw previously, we're going to follow the same protocol for this presentation. Again, you have on next to you the yellow note card, and that'll be for this presentation. As we use our goals, our strategic goals, and also our priorities as well as our vision. This is a wonderful picture taken again from the Las Palmas School for Growth. We had an event that we were able to capture some yesterday pictures with. This lists all of our intended learning outcomes, and as you can see, we've listed them based on the section of the board agenda. 4B will be our Lone Star Gunners. 4C, our intruder detection, followed by the City of San Antonio for previous West Head. A new teacher project with a survey that we're continuing. We'll also have a presentation by our Chief Innovation Officer from Stafford Visual Performing Arts Elementary on some additions for their particular area of expertise that the performing arts. You'll also hear now from Dr. Basuko in 5G on global language solutions. And many of these for Dr. Basuko are recurring. iStation for our reading assessment, Nearpod for utilizing our devices in the classroom. Also for 5G, Northside Regional Day School for the Deaf, 5H, Northwestern Evaluation Association, AKA our math assessments, recurring. Item 5I, Speech Specialist at San Antonio, also recurring. New will be our career and technical education courses for 23-24. We are adding 3 of those that we see. Power School Group LLC. This is also a piece presented by our school leadership. Also McGraw Hill, the 5L, Fine Arts Academy, Theater Arts, and Relay. Without further ado, I want to talk to you about our Lone Star Governance Monthly Report. As you know, every month we come to you for the Lone Star Governance Monitoring Calendar for 22-23, and it's set for this month, for May 2nd, to have our reading component for grade low progress measures 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, which are grades K, 1, and 2. Reading. Our M-Class administration date is May 15th to the 19th, and we will not have those scores ready available. As a matter of fact, since our board meeting is on the 16th, we will not have them by the time of the regular board meeting. So we're going to take these components for grades 1, 2, for K, 1, 2, 3, and attach them to the June presentation for LSG. Are there any questions regarding that? We want to make sure that we give you the data and that the data is clean and it's ready to go. Our next piece, ladies and gentlemen, is the Edgewood Independent School District safety audit update for today. And this is session 4C. So, the intended learning outcomes for today are to address 3 objects. 1, why intruder audits? Why do we have to do those? The next piece is, what is an intruder audit checklist? What do they look for when they arrive at campus? And then we're going to look at state safety allotment and safety costs. Currently, as you all know, the legislators are meeting, and they've had a proposal that they would like to provide a state safety allotment districts. And we're going to talk about that. Just to give you some information, I believe it was yesterday, or day before, yeah, today's Tuesday. Yesterday, we met with the council and their staffs and staffs from 4 other districts here in this room to talk about school safety. As a representative of AS, wanted to meet Mr. Edmonds. He was very interested in how the city of San Antonio and its district school districts in the conversation that is unprecedented, at least according to the councilman. This is the city of San Antonio's system. So what they did is they came over to listen to what exactly are schools facing, what does it look like for things like the intruder audit. So it was an epiphany for our councilman to learn, one, of the amount of information and the amount of spending that we do to maintain, and also compare that to the numbers that you'll see as offered by the legislators. So, and then finally, we'll have questions. So, intruder audits. Texas School Safety Center, Region 20, conduct intruder audits at randomly selected campuses. The audits are mandated post-Uvalde ISD to ensure that all schools are secure and safe.
Okay.
It's something that was released last spring, and this particular component allowed us to give us a checklist, if you will, the requirements that we had to ensure safety of our students. Finally, the next piece, superintendent and police chief are advised when an intruder audit is taking place. For example, they'll let you know as they're approaching, as they're actually there. So, the next piece is, what are the 4 items that intruder auditors look for on campus? At this time, I'd like to turn it over to my esteemed colleague, Mr. Travis Mack.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Good evening, board. When our campuses are approached by a safety auditor arrives to campus in plain clothing. They don't carry any weapon of any kind on them. And they essentially go through 4 phases of an audit. And the first phase is they try to make entry to the campus. If they can, they're essentially auditing whether or not they're able to, without being intercepted by staff, enter through any entryway that they come across in the campus. That's phase 1. As soon as they're intercepted by staff, the auditor will produce identification and an official letter that demonstrates to staff that they have authorization to conduct the safety audits. And then they go through the next 3 phases of the safety audit that you see there on your screen. And so once they determine whether or not they were able to make entry without being escorted or intercepted by a staff member, the next is an exterior door audit. And so as soon as they'll come to the door, if the staff member is able to intercept them, they check them in the front office, they check their credentials, verify that they're already a seminar, give them an ID badge, run them in the record systems, and that concludes phase 1. Phase 2 is they then walk with the administrator around the school, throughout all areas of the school to check an exterior door. So exterior door is any outward-facing door. And so an exterior door could be confined within a gated area, or it could be an area that directly faces the outside without any gates around. Any exterior door, they want to verify that those exterior doors are secured and they can't just be pulled open, but they're locked and secured. That's the second phase, the exterior door audit. The third phase is a classroom door audit if a district has a written policy mandating that all classrooms must be locked. In Edgewood ISD, we do not have that as a written mandate that all interior classroom doors are locked, and so that leads directly into phase 4 of the audit. Phase 4 is to ensure that administrators or the appropriate campus staff are maintaining an exterior door sweep log. And so as part of our protocols, we have exterior door sweeps that are conducted regularly throughout the week. And those door sweeps are supposed to be logged so that the administration can show or can demonstrate during the audit that this is a part of the normal routine and that they are regularly checked, and the state requires that it's at least on a weekly basis. And in our schools, that is the floor. We have more regular exterior door checks that are conducted by appropriate staff members. So those are the 4 phases of the audit. Now we're going to look a little bit more into what Mr. Chavez started speaking to earlier about what is the state proposing to fund for school safety. And so far, there's a recommendation that's being proposed in the legislature to fund $9.72 times our average daily attendance. That's our current, thank you. And so as you can see, we're currently funded just barely over the cost of what it requires for us to hire a single police officer. Our police officer cost with benefits is right around $66,000 or $67,000, and that is essentially the funding that we receive for the entire district currently under ADA. Here are the aggregate costs that the district has invested in school safety. Obviously, we have maintained a very high investment in the safety of our campuses in our district. And so the $4.1 million or nearly $4.2 million that you see there, it involves everything from hiring and paying our officers to our security cameras, all the training that goes into school safety, laptops, vehicles, K-9 unit, and so on. This is kind of a general list. And some of these are recurring costs. I would say about half of the amount that you see on the screen. These are costs that are recurring each year. But the funding for these has come from a variety of sources. Obviously, the state application that we just saw there is $67,000. But also, there have been certain grants that have been administered from the state for districts to increase, their focus on safety. We've taken advantage of those when they've come along. But then there's obviously a significant investment that comes through the support from the board through our local budget. And so here's the current expenditures for the district on school safety versus what is being currently allocated from the state.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. McElwain. A little louder than I thought. Time now for discussion and sharing. At this time, kind of have a conversation with your table mates and write down all the questions and concerns provided on the note card. Again, we have individuals here who are able to help you. If you have a general question, let us know what that might be.
Oh, we'll see. It's our first go around.
Charlie's just really copied it. Just did it.
We all did.
Oh.
We'll just have to change the theme for next. We'll have to change the theme for next month. Yeah. It still goes right now. It goes in my.
I know, right? Yeah, I should have left it in there too. I changed the name. What did I change it to? This month I went with the theme of like sheep.
Oh, okay.
That's what I do. I choose like
Yeah.
theme and then I just go with it.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
That's okay.
This month. I just did it too. Can I think of what I did? Oh yeah, I found this cool little pencil.
That one's cute. It's not
So I just look for stuff like that and I take out the background so that I've seen it.
Yeah.
Last time he was complimenting me because he was like, I told you, oh, we got a step-by-step search. And he was like, I have over 10 like design background like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
exactly.
he's like, oh, I see. He didn't know I came from that background. He's like, it's not fair, sir.
I know. He showed me yours too. He goes, look at this. We gotta try to do something. Okay. Mental no.
Because you'll call him, how do you do it? Y'all need help doing anything. I mean, even when Gus had that fight, we all started designing different things, business cards. Even before he left, we were already having Gus do business.
Oh, really?
Because it was such a demand, they wanted everybody to have business cards for some reason.
So exterior doors have to be.
I think I need to put like a 5-minute timer. Because otherwise people will continue.
I don't think they emphasize that you're going to have a 5-minute time limit to write your questions down.
No. So I think for next time though.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, I had this meeting. I think we wrap up our final thoughts. Please be sure to write down your questions. And there are anything that we need to talk about with the group. Okay, so we'll head on to the next section. In the next section, this is a recurring cost, ladies and gentlemen. This is 5A, discussion of payments to the city of San Antonio for students enrolled in pre-K for essay program for the 23-24 school year, the amount of $368,000. I want to make sure that we're clear. This is the agreement that we went into several years ago with the city municipality for early childhood, establishing the pre-K for essay with 4 pre-K for essay centers. This is a recurring cost that we have in the division. We execute the payments at some centers. The next piece I want to share with you is 5B. Both the TNTP and the community work on our full survey of issues. It runs to May 23, to May 23, about 26,000. We were able to put one of the issues that we served 7 of the 20. And to remind everyone, this is the engagement survey that we offered during COVID. We actually did a lot of work with TNTP to get feedback of how students were doing, both SEL work and how they were doing in terms of student achievement and what help they needed. We continued this survey this year to look at a engagement survey for our staff. This information that we received back from our engagement survey was very valuable. It allowed us to see what individuals, teachers, actually this is everybody, this is not just teachers, I want to clarify that, but staff across the district responded to this survey, and we had over 45%, which is a very good return. We're looking to top that off this spring. What we've done is we wanted to transition the dashboard and the entire survey to Edgewood ISD. We've been working diligently, putting it on our platform, using our Google domain to do this work. And so this spring, in May, this month, actually May, we'll be administering the spring engagement survey. We have a couple of questions from our academics department that Dr. Basuto provided us, so we can get a pulse, if you will, of how our Tier 1 instructional piece is going on curriculum framework. And so this is to kind of finish off this work so that way we can transfer it on to us. We will then utilize this engagement survey again next year. So we'll have the wherewithal to run this on our own. So our goal is to build capacity in our team to continue on. Next piece, I want to call my colleague, Mrs. Teresa Salinas, our Chief Innovation Officer, to talk to you about Stafford.
Good evening. Really excited about this particular agenda item. We at Stafford Visual and Performing Arts, with our partner Friends of P-Tech, were awarded $2 million in grant funding through the Charter School Grant and the School Action Fund grant. So what I'm going to be sharing with you are some of the upgrades that they're requesting your approval on. Friends of P-Tech, Stafford Visual and Performing Arts, campus administrative teams have been meeting. They have a grants committee that's really been reviewing what is necessary to ensure that the visual and performing arts model comes to life at Stafford. So what you see here is the cafeteria and theatrical lighting proposal. So what they will be doing, this is a picture on the left-hand side of what the cafeteria looks like right now. So they are proposing to do a stage extension. For those of you who went to the blue ribbon cutting ceremony, you saw the students didn't fit on the stage. They were kind of going out into the cafeteria floor. So this will allow much more of a spacious area for students to be able to perform and do various activities. The other thing that they're going to be doing is curtains. So you can see the stage as it exists currently doesn't have any curtains around the backdrop area. So they'll be putting in balances around the back area and also redoing the curtains, color yet to be determined. And then the other thing that's going to be an upgrade is LED theatrical lighting. That's just a sample picture of some of the lights that are going to be put up in the cafeteria, but this will allow you know, when you're acting and presenting, to be able to showcase the characters so families have a better view of the seats to the show. They'll also be using this kind of track lighting system in one of the classrooms, the theater arts classroom. The other thing that's going to be renovated is the dance floor studio. On the left, you see the dance floor studio. Mirrors have already been put in, and students have already been dancing away in that space. But the addition would include proper flooring for dance and also the railing system around the classroom. On the bottom left, you see the theater arts classroom, typical classroom space. What they're looking at doing is creating an entire black box. This will allow students to be able to hone their skills. They'll get a feel for the spaciousness of how I need to do my acting on the studio stage, and they'll also be able to understand what it feels like when they're acting so they know how to connect to the audience. So lots of benefits, not just aesthetically for this to look like a thriving fine art space, but really the upgrades are really going to help students be able to live out the curriculum components in the school model. And that is all that I have. There'll be more to come. The committee is continuing to engage in conversation around what Stafford Visual and Performing Arts can do to better serve students and enhance the program model. Yes, and expend the remaining money. Now, that was $2 million. They have done a really good job of putting a dent in that, but they are looking to continue to provide those upgrades. All right, Dr. Basuko, you're up next, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, Madam President, esteemed board members, SLT members. I'm bringing forward 9 items. However, 8 of those 9 are recurring items that we bring year to year for the start of next year, things that we'll need for next year. First one is the global language solutions, which is essentially requiring or providing to students in our district language interpretation. So there are students within ours do their IEP, and they're here in our students, and we're providing interpretation services for 2 students, therefore requiring 2 interpreters. Next one is iStation. Now this one is a 2-year subscription. However, the price here reflects for a 1-year payment. Okay, and what that is, it's a supplemental reading intervention program. It's online, and what it does is it assesses kids where their reading, whether their reading ability is, and it provides a differentiated instruction and intervention for those students. And that's what we typically would call supplemental material for our students. And this is iStation. Teachers are able to run reports, provide all sorts of activities for students to improve on their reading abilities for kindergarten to 5th grade for English and Spanish. Next one is Nearpod. And what Nearpod is, it's a presentation software for our teachers K through 12th grade. So it's for all teachers in the district. And it's an interactive learning, has library videos and 3 online trainings. And it's a very, very popular program that our teachers utilize to engage students in the classroom. Next is the Regional Day School for the Deaf. This is where we have 2 students in particular who will attend the Northside Regional Day School for the Deaf based on their individual education plan. So these students are then going over to Northside and they will obtain their services based on their individual education plan that was deemed by the ARD. This one is, as Mr. Chavez mentioned earlier, NWEA map. And this is an assessment that is given 3 times a year. And what it does, it just measures growth, student growth overall in reading, math, and science. So at the beginning of every year, what we call the BOY, beginning of year, students come in, take an assessment. Then they'll take another assessment during the December-January break to see where they are at the middle of the year and how much growth. And then they'll take one here pretty soon. As a matter of fact, this group will be taking one at the end of this month to see how much growth they did from the beginning all the way to the end. Other thing to note, we use this data, this information produced from math to determine the teacher incentive allotment. So that's the information and data that we use to see whether or not teachers earn that stipend through the TI allotment. Okay. Next item is a speech specialist. This page. This was just providing speech services overall for our district, for all students, based on their individual education plan. This was just having extra speech services throughout the district for the hours owed to our students, based on their individual education plan. This is a new item, the additional courses under CTE, Career and Technical Education. We're asking for 3 new courses to be introduced to our course catalog, which are the AP Computer Science Principles, Entrepreneurship, and the Practicum in Entrepreneurship. So these new courses will be added to the catalog on your approval, and they will be used, I believe, at Brentwood Middle School and at JFK. Correct. Our group LLC, better known as Naviance, what that is a college career and life readiness platform. And so that's where individual students go in, they take an assessment, see where their interests lie relative to where they want to be in the high school level. Then they're able to even get their courses, to get their CTE pathways. This is also where they're able to get their information, like their application when they go on to college. So it's a platform that kids can use to better themselves, to set them up for success once they graduate and go into college. This is for middle school and high school grades 6 through 12. I think I did mention it, but I want to reiterate, it also is an opportunity for kids to go in and do their FAFSA. And so they can log into here as well. Last item is Achieve 3000, very much like iStation. But Achieve 3000 is for the upper grades, and it's a supplemental reading intervention plan. Kids can go in there, produce a Lexile reports, kids read of interest, it gives them science, social studies, and language arts interest novels that they can read based on Lexile reports. And there's actually a linkage between Achieve 3000 and NWEA MAP. So there's a linking there where teachers can then link from the other assessment that I talked about in the MAP growth for this for Lextiles here in Achieve 3000. They go in terms like a nice station, but for upper grades. Mr. Chavez?
Thank you, Dr. Washington. We went over 9 of these pieces. If you all could go ahead and take this time to talk amongst yourself regarding those 9 items, and which Dr. Washington presented. And if you have any questions, please talk amongst yourself. He has a lot on his plate today with all these items, so. But a lot of these pieces are recurring, so this should be a real simple question. If you have any, please discuss at your table.
I don't know.
I don't know
It's in
because.
there. I went in there just right now.
Oh, okay.
It had all the different breaks and things.
This one's Myrna's.
Oh, okay.
But I was, and I even refreshed it because I knew you guys had made
but
changes.
We finished it like at noon,
Yeah. Well, now it says that you made a change at 2
2 hours ago.
2 minutes ago.
Yeah, but because I was opening and looking at it. So scroll down. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. Okay.
Well, you know where they are to take a break.
Well,
Kind of.
I didn't because I was supposed to do it a couple times.
Okay. Hey,
This is good.
and suggestion, put a time limit.
Yeah, well,
3 to 5 minutes.
beggars can't be choosy. at
I
this
know.
point.
Hey, it's our first run. So I spoke with Myrna earlier. She asked that we talked about putting some dates together as a draft for the next year's board performance. So I told her, since I already have the board meeting dates together, that I would stick in board performance. So I'm going to send that to you and her. Just an FYI so you know what you're seeing.
And you just want to try to plan all the dates ahead of
Yeah.
time.
And it's draft. I just finished it. My boss didn't even know. So I'm sure they'll talk about it though.
Yeah.
In case one of them has a question, it's just muted right now. This is the unmute button.
Who has a question? I just
Yeah, it's just muted right now.
because they have
The breaking time.
so now that they're gonna I know, right? It seems like you're done.
Good, you?
How are you?
Good, how are you, sir? I put that in the notes just for you. He is.
That's the next in this month's presentation. Put your feet like back. Don't do it.
Your computer's gonna break.
Ladies and gentlemen, 30 seconds to wrap up. Be sure to place your questions on the agenda.
He sounds It's like he's doing bingo. Right. B19.
Sure. Well, I think it's 3 minutes.
He just requested more time.
See, that's good.
Yeah. So I thought he was gonna ask everybody. That's why I ran over. So I also have to keep track of items, like the time. So if they start, just write down the time right here, please. Yeah. I just gotta go pee.
Okay, so we're coming up on those extra 2 minutes. Please be sure to write your questions on the yellow card. Okay. Next up, Mr. Travis McElwain, lead us next.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. We're excited to bring to the board on May 16th item for your consideration. We were requesting approval for 13 of our outstanding theater students from Fine Arts Academy to go to the International Thespian competition, or I'm sorry, festival, competition in Bloomington, Indiana. And so, apologies, it'll be 13 of our students who qualified at the Texas Thespian Convention earlier this year in November, and they, through their outstanding performances, were selected to go to nationals. And so, obviously, through board policy FNH, we do require board approval for any out-of-state trips for students, and so this will be part of the what you'll find on the agenda at the May 16th board meeting. Next, I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Madam President, Board of Trustees, Mr. Chavez. We're bringing to you a request to add additional funding to our current agreement with Relay to provide professional development for teachers for the upcoming school year. Teachers will participate in a 5-series PD that has to do with starting strong with classroom culture. We're going to target at least 100 teachers at campuses that are undergoing the school improvement process. We've already asked principals to start thinking about, if this is approved, the number of new teachers or novice teachers from 0 to 3 years that would benefit from this training, as well as any experienced teachers who struggle with classroom management. So we're seeking your approval to provide this professional development for our teachers before the start of the school year.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. At this time, that concludes the leadership component for tonight's agenda. Be sure for next steps moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, that you write down your questions, any additional questions to the superintendent's office. And we encourage you to review the board workshop video to catch something that perhaps you may have missed or need to see again. And finally, the board updates will be coming out May 5th and May 12th of this month. So without further ado, I want to tell you as we say goodbye and say thank you, I want to remind everyone that Teacher Appreciation Week is next week, May 8th to the 15th, and Nurse Appreciation is on May 10th. So, yesterday, May 1st, was our School Principals Day, and I know that our school leadership team, led by Dr. McElwain and Dr. Butler, did an outstanding job recognizing all of our principals for the hard work that they do. At this time, I'd like to turn over the microphone to Ms. Mirna Martinez to present the business operations side of the house, and Mr. Rios.
Okay, while we get that set up, good evening, board. Everyone else joining us? Hi, Mr. Chavez. All right, so let's get started. Tonight, this is the team that's going to present in behalf of business operations. Those that you see with a star, Ms. Bentley, Ms. Gregorio, and Mr. Williams, have actual agenda items this evening that we're going to go through. Before we start with the agenda items, however, because it is budget season and we are moving forward to approving the budget on June the 6th, you're going to hear a budget update from Ms. Bentley before we start moving into the agenda items. Everything that we're doing towards the budget, we keep a focus on the 5 board and superintendent priorities. That continues to be the work that we will do and support moving into next year. We're also considering Vision 2028, the goals that we have in supporting CCMR, literacy and math outcomes, students' choice and student engagement. You just heard Mr. Chavez talk about surveys. So all of these things we're going to continue to support moving into next year. So Mr. Chavez already talked about the cadence and norms, so I will not bore you with the same information, but we will continue the same process throughout the presentation. So if you have questions, we will pause in between so that we can have a little bit of discussion and answer, particularly where the budget items are coming up. So today is May the 2nd. After all that long calendar, we're at the really a month away from adopting our budget on the scheduled date of June the 6th. So we will have several opportunities, and we'll go over that here in a few minutes to have more questions. Just remember that we also have the board performance planning meeting that is coming up next week. So anything that percolates between here and there, we're going to have several opportunities to touch base about the budget as we move forward. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Bentley so she can lead us in discussion about the budget.
Good afternoon, board. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But just to prelude, we will cover much more at May 11th during the board performance planning. So you're just going to get a little snippet tonight. Again, the board is responsible for adopting the budget at the fund function level. We've talked about this a couple of different times in some of our meetings. So the fund is the one that is circled there in green, and function is the one circled in blue. So tonight we're really only going to talk about the general fund because that is the largest one. So even though we talked about that you approve it at the fund function level, I have compiled it here by our major object groups. So 6200 is contracted service, 63 is your supplies and materials, 6400 is your other operating, 6500 is our leases, and 6600 is our capital outlay. So when looking at this, we have the draft amount for 23-24, we have our amended amount for 22-23, and whether it was a decrease or an increase between the 2 years. Now, one thing on capital outlay is you'll know that last year during board adoption, we had taken $10 million from fund balance for capital outlay. I did take that $10,000 out today
for this example, just so the numbers didn't look really skewed, because it hadn't had a decision made on what we want to do for 23-24. So as you can see, overall, it's a $379,000 increase between 23-24 and 22-23. And again, we've talked at other meetings that there are some uncontrollable costs that, you know, we just cannot go without. I mean, electricity jumps up, insurance goes up, etc. So overall, I think the staff did a really good job in trying to control costs to us having about a $400,000 increase. And again, this doesn't have any payroll because there's still decisions that are being worked out on that. All right, so this was a little bit harder to read, but this is at the function level at which the board will approve. And again, you'll see that it's still a little under 400,000 in increases. This one does have the 10 million in there for 22-23. So you've got the function, you have the description, the 23-24 draft amount, the amended amount, and then whether it's an increase or decrease per function. And again, when we were developing the budget, we remembered our 6 budget buckets that we have been using for the last couple of years, and these come to us when we have been doing our surveys on ESSER, on where the community feels like we should spend the bulk of our money, and also with our work with ERS and evaluating the return on investment as to whether we should continue to support those items. And we did receive our values, so we're about 2.6 billion in values, and that is an estimated amount. We will not have the certified values till the end of July. So we will adopt a budget based on these estimated values on June 6th. And just a reminder, it is a legislative year, so there could still be changes coming after the June 6th adoption. All right, any discussion and sharing? Yes, capital outlay, that is major projects that like extend the life of a building. It could be parking lots, it could be roofs, major improvements, not general repairs. General repairs would be in function 51. Yes, ma'am. All right.
Sure, ladies and gentlemen, invite your questions on the green cards for our business and operations presentation.
All right, I'll go ahead and go into the agenda items that I have for this month. So the first one is pretty much it recurs every month, is the board approves the donations for April. So the district received $7,000 for some different organizations during the month of April. And that would be board agenda item O. Board agenda item P is the discussion of our monthly financial statements. Again, these are unaudited and they are through the month of March. Board agenda item Q is our monthly tax collection report. Again, y'all see this every month. And through March 2023, we have collected 84.18% of our estimated taxes. Board agenda item R is awarding the request for proposal, the RFP for our student athletic insurance. The purchasing department went out for RFP and received 2 quotes from 2 different vendors. There was a committee that evaluated the products, and they have recommended going with the brokerage store in the amount of $77,152 for our student accident insurance. All right, I'll turn it over to Mr. Beamer. A little bit of discussion time.
5 minutes. Get out of here It works better.
Questions, write down.
Yep.
Not only that, because if they ask them out loud, right? You ask them out loud, and they answer, and you forget to make those updates. At least they kind of go through the questions. Okay, you have to answer this, this.
Yeah. Hopefully they give them to me.
I'm sure they will. So what we probably need to do is it's gonna stay green and yellow, which I think it should. It shouldn't change it. We need to order the cards.
Yeah, I'm already.
And cut them up.
Yeah.
That way it can just be part of the
ongoing.
the stuff we take.
Put them in my little box.
They have some in the book, the supply book. Just green and yellow.
In the what?
In the supply book, but they're going to be the small ones, not the big ones.
Yeah.
So if we just buy cardstock, we just cut that paper in half.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move along. If you have any other questions, you can just write them on the note card. So I'm gonna go ahead and discuss my items this evening. So what I have is I have 5 items. The first one is item S on the board agenda item, which is a recurring item. This is a discussion of the monthly auxiliary and paraprofessional federal board report. This is a report that you get on a monthly basis of all the new hires, resignations, promotions. Item T that I have here is also a recurring item. This is a monthly report for professional employment. Again, employments who resign, get hired, or any reassignments. So just a monthly recurring report. Item U is recurring the past couple of months, but it is not a monthly recurring item. This is the individuals that we need to take on for a contract for the upcoming school year. So this is the 3rd month that we'll be taking contracts. We've had administrators, we had other professionals, now we have other professionals again for the last time. And that's item U, and that's all personnel contracts. The next item that I have is also a recurring item that you'll be receiving. This is for individuals who are on a probationary term contract and they break their contract. And we have to make sure that we have a discussion to make sure that we can move forward with any type of disciplinary measures for individuals who break contract for no good cause. So this is again a recurring item. Individuals will be listed through the board update. Then we also have item W. Item W, this is a new item that we are asking. This is something that we did last year and we had great success with this. So we have an item that we'll be coming and asking for your approval, and it is a teacher sign-on bonus. We're going to offer up to $3,000 sign-on bonus for our teachers that we'll be hiring for the upcoming school year. We're looking to really target those dates that we know, or those months I should say, that we are actively recruiting teachers, and those are the months of June, July, and August for this coming school year, so we can be ready to go at the start of school. And we're also going to target November through January, because we know that's the time the semester ends, and we can hire and recruit new teachers that are coming out of college and just graduating. So we're targeting those areas specifically. Just want you to know on this item, we did list on the title, it does indicate correctly, which it'll say it'll start on November 1st and end January 31st. In the motion, which you have in your board book, will be corrected for the board meeting, but it did indicate December instead of November. So just want to make note of that so you can make aware of the information on our board report. Is there any questions with the items that I just discussed? If you want to share with your partner, we can move on to the next item.
No, you should hear some of these questions that we get in the
we did that on purpose. Pastor told he patient. Yeah. Get up. She has no cards too. She has no cards too. I'm just kidding. Go home. Tell my kids to go home. I know. I'll eat dinner at home with the kids. I think they're all gonna like this.
It's gonna work out perfect.
Williams, let's go. Just say we got 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes for questions.
Ma'am, wrap it up.
Mr. Williams?
Okay, good evening, Madam President, members of the board, staff, stakeholders. We have just one more item from Operations Division, Operations Business Division, and it's securing a school bus. This bus is a mini bus, what normally folks call a special needs bus. We're asking for a purchase of this bus not to exceed $95,000. It's being bought with federal funds through the special ed department. Kind of short and sweet. Any questions about this purchase?
I need to pitch the first part, what you said is a minibus.
It's a special needs bus, special ed bus, a short bus. Yes, sir.
It's like a different bus plan, right? The Thompsonville bus. I was looking at I think the RFP, and it was, because right now we use like Bluebird and the other school bus, but this one was like a Thompsonville bus, different manufacturer. So if that bus needed maintenance, it's off the same one, but it's off the same one, it's a different manufacturer.
I don't have an answer to that question. I can get back with you and put it in the Friday board update as it relates to, I know there's a Chevy in there, but again, I can't just tell you what it's gonna cost versus a Bluebird, it's a newer bus. It may be parts may be more expensive, maybe cheaper. I would be arbitrary just to answer that question. Let me do some research to get that cheaper price. Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Any more questions? You have a question, Mr. Guerra? Okay, all right.
So board, we have a few more board meetings left, or a few more meetings left before we adopt the budget. Tonight was short and sweet, but there is a lot of effort going into trying to mitigate that funding cliff we all know is coming. On May the 11th, we have a board performance planning meeting. What you can expect is that we're going to go deeper into some of this content. We will talk payroll, we will talk ESSER, and what that funding cliff may look like for us. Mr. Chavez alluded to a lot of legislation that's happening right now. That $9.72 allotment that we get for security, hopefully will go up to $100. We don't know that yet, so we still have a lot of unknowns, but right now we're working with the budget and what we do know. And what we do know is we're going to support our classrooms, and we're going to support our campuses. We are also coming out, we will have another board meeting, the regular board meeting on the 16th. On May 30th, we will have one more opportunity before we adopt the budget, so that we give you, again, plenty of time to ask questions and be as informed as we can before adoption. So with that, we're going to close out. Mr. Chavez?
Thank you very much. Ms. Martinez, Madam President, that includes the presentation from academics, innovation, and the business operations sector.
The time is 6:16. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Guerra moves. Do we have a second? Any discussion? If we have no discussion, all those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, raise your hand and say nay. Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and celebrate the birthdays. Whose birthday are we